What's up, guys? Eli here, back for another, I guess you could call this a new stuff video. I just wanted to show, I've had a pile of stuff that friends and stuff have sent me over the last maybe 2 or 3 months or something like that. So I thought I would just kind of show it all in one big hurrah. So this is stuff from probably 4 or 5 different people, just kind of highlighting the what would you call it? Why am I struggling to find the word? The generosity of the YouTube community here. I've said it before. I'll say it 100 more times. My favorite part about this is, meeting the people that I've met through YouTube. I would have never met probably any of you guys, had I not started a channel. And for that, that's worth more to me than any number of views or anything like that, which don't really add up to anything. So we'll start off with a package. This is probably a couple different packages from my buddy Scott over at No Solution. Check out his channel if you haven't. Now, first of all, this first thing that I'm going to show, I've been listening to this a lot over the last couple of weeks, and this has got to be one of my favorite albums that I've heard in recent years, really. We're talking about the 1995 album from the Tea Party, The Edges of Twilight. The Tea Party are a Canadian band. They play... First of all, I've never heard a band that sounds like them, which is awesome. I was hesitant to check them out for the longest time because I've heard people say, oh, they sound like Led Zeppelin. They sound like one Led Zeppelin song, which is Kashmir. Clearly, they've taken some influences from that song. I wouldn't even... And maybe, okay, and there's like a bluesy song on here. I guess that might be kind of Led Zeppelin inspired. I'm not a big Zeppelin guy at all. They also take inspiration, in my opinion, from what I hear from the Doors, from world music. So they kind of sound like all that stuff put in a blender. World music, Doors, a little bit of Led Zeppelin, a little bit of prog rock. And I've heard some of their later albums. They would even further experiment with their sound. They would add electronic elements, and from what I gather, they're one of those bands that kind of change a little bit on every album, which I like. So. Tea Party, Edges of Twilight. This album is awesome. If you're a fan of prog, I think you would dig this. But if you're just a fan of, God, I don't know, any of those things that I named, this is quality music. I love this album, and I'm super glad that Scott sent that to me. Another thing that I've been really, really loving that Scott sent me, well, all this pile of stuff is from Scott, like I said. Spocks Beard, Day for Night. Now, I've known about Spocks Beard for at least probably a decade. And being a prog guy, you're probably wondering why did it take you that long to check him out. I spend more of my time listening to like 70s prog rock, not so much the modern stuff. I mean, this album right here is from like the early 2000s. So they're a modern prog rock / metal band. This is so good. This is like... If you took like a little bit of Rush, a little bit of early Genesis, and even just a splash of Gentle Giant, plus put that all in a blender, plus their own sound on top of that, this is just great. I don't know where Spocks Beard are from. I can't remember. I think they're from the U.S. Yeah, I think they're an American band. I think they're still going to this day. They've been going, I think, since the early '90s, something like that. Neil Morse from the band has gone on to do other stuff. His very successful solo career. Transatlantic, the band Transatlantic. This is just fucking great, man. This is some of the best prog I've heard in a long time. And he sent me this because he didn't like it, but I happen to like it a lot. This band is called Emptiness. They're from Belgium. They started off, pretty, I don't want to say standard, but they started off like a black death metal. And they're one of those bands that would kind of evolve, change their sound, reinvent themselves a bunch of times. And this is like gothic metal. I don't know what you'd call it. Kind of their own brand of like gothic metal, gothic rock. This album is called, I think it's self-titled, 2017. Yeah, I think this is a self-titled album. definitely, if you like black death metal, definitely check out their first couple albums. But if you have an open mind, keep going. Um, they've got a solid quality discography, and I might even prefer this later, more gothic type stuff, progressive even a little bit. I might prefer this stuff a little bit more. I just think it's a little bit more unique than their first few Black Death albums. And the Mighty Incantation, a band that I'm very fond of, but I never had the Infernal Storm from 2000. Just didn't have it. I have most of their stuff, but I'm missing a couple of things. So this is Relapse Records. We all know Incantation, the mighty evil death metal band from New Jersey. Don't really need to go into that for too long. He sent me this live sampler, I guess you'd call it, from Mordant Red, black metal band, also a YouTube channel. I'm sure a black metal band first, don't get me wrong. If you like black metal, this guy clearly knows his stuff. And from the Magna Carta label, which was a very infamous prog label from the 90s, 90s and into the 2000s. I don't think the labels. I think they've been done for a while, but they got this Supper's Ready compilation. Another serving from the musical box. So this is a bunch of, I think these are all Genesis covers. Bands like, I'll throw some stuff out there you might know about. I actually don't know a lot of these. You got Magellan, I've heard of Magellan. You got Enchant, Crack the Sky, they're an older prog band from the 80s and maybe even late 70s, and then a bunch of other stuff. But I absolutely love Genesis, one of my favorite bands of all time. It'll be cool to hear some of their classic songs covered by these artists. Now this one's kind of rare, actually. He sent it to me because Scott and I are both we're both the type of collectors that we don't collect stuff for value. We collect stuff because we like the music. I have several thousand CDs and several hundred vinyl records. I couldn't tell you what 95% of it is worth or what it goes for on Discogs. If you do, that's fine. I'm not bagging on anybody, but that's just not why we collect. And I'm sure you most likely are of the same mind. So he sent me this Parnassus album. This is I'd been after this for a while, and it is fairly hard to find. I think it goes for $30, maybe even more on Discogs. This is like very much symphonic black metal. I think it was a little bit too cheesy for Scott, so he didn't care for it. Parnassus, I think they're from Sweden. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank now. They have two albums. They're not a thing anymore. They're long defunct, but two albums. And I always forget if this is the first or second, but it's called Indorium Gloria. If you like your symphonic black metal that's kind of over the top, and I guess you could say a little bit too keyboardy for most people, you'd probably dig this. I like it a lot. For me, it's like symphonic black metal. You can't possibly have too many keyboards. But that's just me, and it's not for everybody. This is probably going to be a little bit too overbearing for some of you. But again, if you like very, very keyboardy symphonic black metal, check out Parnassus. And then he sent me this Porcupine Tree compilation. It's one of his favorite bands, and I didn't have any Porcupine Tree, and Scott felt that I needed some, and I agree. This is a 2010 compilation called Recordings, as you can see. It's a compilation, but he said it plays like an album, so he thought I would enjoy it. I haven't listened to it yet. It comes in one of these digibooks, which I'm really a fan of these types of releases, these digibook things. I haven't really gone through the booklet or anything. There's Steven. I think that's Steven Wilson. No. That's just a random picture I opened to. That's Richard Barbieri on keyboards. Anyways, let's just move on. Porcupine Tree are a British prog rock slash sometimes sort of prog metal band. They're just a band I'm kind of starting to check out. They're another one of those famous prog bands that I've known the name for years and years and never really dipped in too much. So now that I have something physical, I'll definitely listen to it. Then he sent me some movies. We'll go through these quickly because I actually don't know much about any of them. Sent me a Blu-ray called Dead Shadows. Looks like probably a zombie movie. I'm not really sure. I know he said it was a good time. Shudder exclusive. Last One's Out. Definitely looks like a zombie movie. An older movie with Willem Dafoe. Hell yeah. Streets of Fire. A rock and roll fable. Sounds awesome. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm pretty excited to watch that. Diane Lane also. Home Invasion. He sent me this because Natasha Henstridge is in it, and he knows that I love her. So I think he said it was actually a decent movie, but he figured I would enjoy it more. Spree. Yeah, haven't seen any of these, which is awesome. So I'll definitely watch every single one of them. Then I got something from Metal Miners. I think that's two guys, but I think it was Cody that sent this to me. I could be wrong. Maybe it was Anthony. I think it was Anthony. I don't know those guys super well, but I really have a lot of good things to say about them, especially after this transaction. So this is one of the early Camelot CDs, Siege Perilous. This is the only thing that I was missing in my collection, minus the first two albums, which are pretty hard to find. And I don't think they're particularly good. So this is the first album to feature Roy Khan on vocals. He was, pretty much considered their classic vocalist. It's a great album. I love Camelot. And so I put a message out on here on YouTube a couple of months ago, just asking if anyone had a copy they could send me. Or not send me, sell me. I wasn't asking for a handout. I would never do that. Does anyone have a copy of this that they don't want that they'll sell me, is what I said. That's how I worded it. And actually, so I know I mentioned Metal Miners, but this actually came from Pieface. It's the YouTube channel, Simon. Hello, Simon. Simon is awesome. Simon watches almost all of my videos, which I just think it's ridiculous. No, I just think it's really cool. And so Simon acquired this in like a lot or something of CDs just by chance. And so he sent it. He was already sending stuff to Metal Miners. Since Metal Miners live in the U.S. as well, like me, he threw this in there and asked them to send it to me, which they did. Again, this is just kind of, this video is very much highlighting the generosity of YouTube. Simon didn't have to send this to me. Metal Miners didn't have to go out of their way to forward it to me, but it happened, and that's awesome. And not only did they send it to me, but they also sent me this Iora album. This is black metal out of the UK. I haven't listened to it yet, but I will. It's just a solo black metal album. The Year Without a Summer, it is called. There's the man behind the project. Limited to 50 copies. So this album commemorates the many who struggled and perished through the harsh conditions of 1816. I don't know anything about that bit of history, but I'll look into it. So thank you to everyone involved. Again, thanks to Metal Miners. Thank you to Simon. I owe you guys. I owe all of you guys. My buddy Wolfman Dave over at the That Metal Podcast. Check out That Metal Podcast. I guest on there occasionally. He sent me a couple of these Identity 5 Century Media compilations. Sent me these because he had some extra copies, and these are some of his personal favorite compilations that were responsible for getting him into metal and stuff like that. These look like they're all from the late '90s. I mean, you got bands like, you know, in the '90s, even in the late '90s, you know, metal or Century Media was a great label. Iced Earth, Scatatonia, Nevermore, Old Man's Child, Blind Guardian, The Gathering, Cryptopsy, Bork Nagar, Theater of Tragedy, Jag Panzer, Opeth. I'm not going to go through every band in all three, but that just gives you an idea of what you find on here. Not many bands on here that I don't like. A couple that I haven't heard. Turmoil, I don't know Turmoil. Haste, I don't know Haste. So you got Identity 5 from 1999. You got Identity 3 from 97. And from 2000, you got Identity 6. So, very cool. Thank you, Dave. And from my buddy Dennis over at Analog Archives, sent me a while back, but he sent me this Gremlins VHS tape. Gremlins, one of my favorite movies of all time. Was very, very happy to have this on VHS. It's a pretty fairly clean copy, and I'm just super happy to have it. So thank you, Dennis. Then last, we got an order. Not an order. We got some stuff. I just got this today from Rick over at the Dreadful Minutes. We all know and love Rick. He's just one of the best dudes out there. You cannot convince me otherwise. Sent me some vinyl, some CDs, and even some action figures, because you guys know I love that kind of stuff. Sent me this Tourist Trap Mr. Slauson figure. I already have this, but I already found a home for it. So I'm going to send this to Dennis from Analog Archives. He's a fan of this movie, and he doesn't have this. You can get, if you like these, you can get these from the Full Moon website. Looks like Rick had placed an order through them at some point. He also sent me this reaction figure series, Super 7, Child's Play 2. How cool is that? Homicidal Chucky. Chucky covered in blood. He's even got a little knife. I'd be so tempted to open this so I can put the knife in his hand, but the packaging is so cool. I don't know if I can open this. Typically, my action figures and stuff I do open, but I don't know. The packaging, it's too nice. So, so fucking awesome. Thanks, Rick. Sent me some CDs. This from Ukraine. Cosa? I think it's called Cosa. The album is Sin Temptation. See if you can see that cover art. It's very cool. It's very gray. It's very cool. I don't know what record label this is, but I do like the sticker on the back. Made in Ukraine, a symbol of fortitude, dignity, and real spirit of freedom. Indeed, right? Very cool. I assume this is black metal, because that's just kind of most bands out of Ukraine. 9 times out of 10, it's black metal. Just something about that country and black metal. But I could be wrong. I haven't heard the album. He sent me this soundtrack to the movie Shrunken Heads, which I've never seen. But the music is composed by Richard Band, who's the brother of Charles Band, the man behind Full Moon Pictures. And Richard did the theme music to Puppet Master. So he's very talented, and I love that Puppet Master theme song, man. And you also got the main title by Danny Elfman, so how cool is that? Yeah, I've never seen this movie. It's been on my list to get for a while, but I haven't yet. And this next one, this looks like this could be death metal, maybe black death metal. Thos Ayla. It's called Abnegation Psalms from the Sunshine Ward record label out of I think New Jersey, something like that. Like I said, it looks like death metal to me, maybe black death, could be black metal, who knows? I could be completely wrong. Haven't heard this band, but I'm very interested to dive in. That cover art is just very cool. I'll show it again. Looks like something I'd buy. Can't wait to hear it. I didn't he sent me, this definitely looks like black metal, Geister Faust, with Servile Mirrors of Animosity. Interesting cover art. A dude in front of a microphone. From Morbid and Miserable Records, not a label I'm familiar with, so definitely be checking this out. And what I knew was coming, I didn't know any of that was coming. This is what I was expecting, because he said he was sending it. The next album from Journey. Now, I love the first 3 Journey albums. I always get them confused. I can't remember which one is number 2 and which one is number 3. It's from 1977. This is either their second or third album. I can't remember, because it's their first 3 albums are the ones that I love. And this album is just, it's just so good. It's so good. This is pre-Steve Perry, so this is before, before all the 80s Journey stuff that you likely know and maybe you love, maybe you hate. I think it's fine, but I'm not real big on the Steve Perry era Journey. I like the stuff with Greg Raleigh on vocals. Back when they were more of a prog band, they were like they were still hard rock, but elements of psychedelia a little bit, but definitely a little prog, definitely maybe a little jazz fusion even in there. It's killer. I think a lot of people don't know that Journey sounded like that. Most people associate with Journey with like arena rock, and again, I grew up on the 80s Journey stuff. It's fine, it's good for what it is, but these days I like the more prog Journey. And he also sent me the debut. I've had this on CD for years and years, but I've never had it on vinyl, so this is cool to have. This album is just, this is a face melter, man. This is absolutely great. This came out in 75. I think next is, I can't remember for sure. It's either the second or third album, but this is definitely the debut. And this is probably my favorite out of everything Journey ever did. It's just killer. It's, again, I've said this before numerous times, but I'll say it one more time. If you're into prog and you haven't heard the first 3 Journey albums, specifically the first one, gotta get on it. Gotta get on it, man. I'm telling you, you will appreciate it. It's good. If you like early Rush, you'll like this first Journey album. So, in my opinion, the Rush guys, they had to have been listening to this album, because this is from 75, so this came out around the time of the first Rush album, but there's some stuff on here that I think sounds like early Rush. I don't know, maybe I got it, but it sounds like a later Rush, like second or third album Rush. So that's why I think Rush were listening to this. So. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got. Again, I can't even say how much I appreciate really all of you guys. Every time someone sends me a package, I always make sure to send one back. Sometimes it takes a while. I just sent some stuff to somebody like a month ago, and it was like they had sent me stuff like I think 2 years ago. So it just depends. I mean, some people are harder to shop for, or harder to I'm always keeping my eyes out for stuff out in the wild that I think those some of you guys might appreciate. But I live in an area where stuff like cool shit doesn't turn out, or doesn't turn up as much as it probably does where you live, especially if you live in a more suburban area. So I wouldn't say I'm rural, but I live in a small town. So we have one record store, and then another store that just sells like some cool media and stuff. But like the cool shit, it's rare when it shows up. So, but when it does, I usually snag it. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. All that stuff. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Not just the ones that have sent me shit. I appreciate all of you guys equally. So yeah, I love you all. As does Louis. He's chilling down here taking a nap because he's a fucking lazy bastard, man. Now I want to take a nap. Jesus Christ. But anyways, I hope you guys are having a great week, day, wherever we're at. And we'll talk soon, huh? Fucking cheers.